Welcome back, everybody, to On the Money Football, where we discuss everything football. Welcome back, everybody. So yesterday we didn't give any previews for any of the games that happened yesterday, namely being Aston Villa versus Everton and Man United versus Liverpool. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I thought anything that I had to say might be slightly biased. I tried to do my best not to be biased at all. But with everything that's been going on surrounding Liverpool and Man United and the fixture being postponed, and then supporters protesting against the Glazers again last night outside the stadium of Old Trafford, I felt Liverpool should be given the points should the game be postponed again. But we'll get to that. Starting off with Aston Villa versus Everton, that ended up in a 0-0 draw. Had I done a preview, I probably would have said the same thing. Maybe not a 0-0 draw, maybe an each to score draw. Aston Villa have been scoring goals of late. Everton as well. They've both beaten some good teams in the past months. But there wasn't all negative. It seems for Aston Villa they had a little bit of hope of the return of Jack Grealish, who came on as a sub in the 72nd minute from his long-time injury. That's going to be a big boost for them, trying to push to get a higher position up in the table. He's been a massive part of their squad this season, as well as last season as well. So I'm very happy for them to have him back. In terms of Everton, there was not much, nothing very interesting there. Honestly, they've been a little bit of a lackluster squad this season. They've signed some really good players, but once again, they just couldn't edge over the line. I mean, they beat West Ham on the weekend, 1-0 away from home. So you would have thought that possibly they would have scored a goal, as well as Aston Villa as well, who scored a goal against Man United away from home also on the weekend. They ended up losing 3-1 though, but still a great goal from Traore over smashing it into the postage stamp of the goals with the left foot there. Looking at the game analysis, Aston Villa had 58% possession to Everton's 42%, which was strangely enough the same in the first and second half. So Aston Villa a little bit dominant there, but not very dominant. But I mean, they're a very good home squad, even without fans. Everton, however, though, managed 15 goal attempts to Aston Villa's 13 goal attempts. But looking at the stats after the game, obviously everything's easy in hindsight. I still would have stayed with my prediction as I had yesterday, what I thought about it being a draw. Except I would have gone for the 1-1 draw, or both teams to score over 1.5, under 2.5, any of that. The 2.5 probably would have come through, but like I said, everything's easy in hindsight. So anyway, missed opportunity there. Moving on. Now in our second review of yesterday's games, we have Man United and Liverpool, which turned out to be a firecracker of a match. 6 goals in total being scored there. 2 for United, 4 for Liverpool. It was a massive win on Liverpool's part for that fight for Champions League spots. They sit on 60 points now with 35 games played. They've got Leicester and Chelsea both above them respectively. Both having played 36, with Leicester on 66 and Chelsea on 64. So Liverpool, they get their win. They will be 1 point behind Chelsea, 3 points behind Leicester. But these two teams still have to play. So they still have to play Leicester versus Chelsea. I think it's at Stamford Bridge, so it's going to be a very interesting matchup there. Just want to double check that quickly. Just 1 second. Let's have a look here. Chelsea versus Leicester on the 18th at Stamford Bridge. So that for me is going to be a very interesting game. It can happen. So many things can happen in that game. Should Chelsea win, they go to 67 after playing 37, and Leicester would stay on 66 with having played 37. So Liverpool would be 3 points behind Leicester with 2 games to play in hand on them. Should Leicester win, they would go to 69. Chelsea would stay on 64, with Liverpool with 2 games in hand on them as well. Only 1 point behind Chelsea. That's if Liverpool win their game in hand. So far they're 4 points behind and 6 points behind Leicester. If there's a draw, however, Leicester will go to 67, Chelsea go to 65. Liverpool, if they win their remaining games, they put a lot of pressure on those two teams right there. Well, moving back to the game, as I said before, the game was slightly marred by the United fans protesting once again outside their stadium against the Glazers. They were, in my opinion, they were quite lucky that the game wasn't postponed again. But I think they kind of learned from the last time that it happened that they were going to lose points, and they don't want to lose points to Liverpool. So I think the security was heightened and tightened, and yeah, I mean, luckily the game went on to play. Bruno Fernandes having scored the first goal in the 10th minute. It was followed up by a neat little through the leg flick by Diogo Jota in the 34th minute. Then a well-executed free kick by Alexander-Arnold giving Firmino a header at the back post. Firmino having beaten Paul Pogba to the ball and rocketing that ball into the net with using his head. And then shortly after the break, Firmino scored again with after a shot of Alexander-Arnold with Dean Henderson, the keeper of United, fumbling the ball. And Bobby Firmino being there, being present to smash the ball in the back of the net there. Scored 2 goals in 3 minutes either side of the half, so his confidence will go up drastically from that. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons, neither has Liverpool in general, but a very confidence boosting win there with some goals from some good players. Marcus Rashford getting the second goal for United in the 68th minute with a well executed play there. Having watched the highlights of all these goals and the game. And then Salah scoring it just to seal the victory in the 90th minute of the second game in a row. Now Liverpool scoring in basically the last minute of the game. That was very crucial for Liverpool. As I said before, a lot of times Liverpool concede a goal in those last dying moments, which sway the game into a draw. This time in the last 2 games against Southampton and now Man United, Liverpool managed to get the goal in the last minute and taking all 3 points. There was something else also at the end of the game. We're seeing video footage of Mane snubbing a handshake from Jurgen Klopp. A lot of people are probably going to read too much into this, say how he wants to leave, he's going to force it to move now. I highly doubt that will happen. I think it was partly just because Klopp changed the lineup at the last minute, deciding to include Jota in the lineup instead of Mane. Mane recently having made his voice heard that he's had one of the worst seasons of his career, and that if you had to ask him exactly where it comes from, he does not know. He honestly doesn't know why he's having such a bad season. For me, honestly, I think it's because him and Mo Salah don't really get along anymore. I think Salah has been a little bit greedy with the ball. There's a lot of times in games that I've watched where I've spotted that Salah could pass the ball onto Mane just to get the goal, to show Liverpool get the win, where he tries to put the ball in the back of the net for himself, and it's just because he wants to win the Golden Boot again and keep breaking records. Look, as having played a striker in my career of football, I see where Salah's coming from. You're only at the top of your game if you're scoring goals. Winning awards like top goal scorer, especially in the best league in the world, the Premier League. So look, I see his point of view, and I see him he wants to score goals and he wants to get his name on the score sheet. But being a team player as well, I feel sometimes you just lay the ball off, get the assist, get the goal for the team, get the 3 points, and move on to the next game. Try and find your goal somewhere else. But having said that, everyone's got their own opinion about it. I feel that he might be wanting to have a very good season, get up there get up high, and win the goal scorer of the season award in the Premier League, so that he could probably get a better move and get paid more should he get bought in the summer. Other than that, the last thing I wanted to touch on was the remaining games for Liverpool for them to acquire Champions League spot. They play away to West Brom, away to Burnley at Turf Moor, which has always been a difficult game for Liverpool, and then at home to Crystal Palace, which I don't think should be too much of a tough game. Liverpool having beaten them 7-0 in the previous fixture at Crystal Palace, so at Selhurst Park. I think West Brom are already relegated, so I don't think they have much to play for there. I think they probably just use players that have been sitting on the bench and reserves, and maybe bring in some youngsters, get some Premier League time under their belts. So I think that might just be. I don't want to talk too early, but I think that's pretty much in the bag there. Burnley's always a tough game, as I said. Um, they've been beating teams left, right, and centre. They beat, I think it was Southampton the other day, away from home 2-0. I think it was Southampton. Let me just double check. But besides that, and then Crystal Palace have had some interesting games late, but they beat Sheffield, already relegated Sheffield on the weekend, 2-0 away from home, but then they lost away from home again to Southampton 3-1. So, yeah, sorry, Burnley beat Fulham, already relegated Fulham. So, Burnley, looking at them in the standings, they are now sitting 15th spot, 39 points. They've still got 3 games to play. They want to obviously try and end up higher in the table, get more money. I think this game against Liverpool, they might push for the point. They always want to go for the win, but I think then Liverpool will be pushing for that point as well, pushing for the 3 points as well. So, like I said, anything can happen. This is football, as we've seen. Newcastle versus Southampton. Newcastle versus Leicester on Friday last week. They ran out 4-2 winners in that game away from home. So, anything can happen in football. But yeah, Leicester play Chelsea in the FA Cup this weekend, and they play again on the 18th. So they've got a lot of games in a short space of time. So do Liverpool. They play on the 16th against West Brom, the 19th against Burnley, and the 23rd against Crystal Palace. But I feel like the whole Champions League race really comes down to what happens between Leicester and Chelsea in that Stamford Bridge game. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. For me, I'd say a draw would do the best for Liverpool, but this is football and anything's possible. In our preview for tonight's game, we have Newcastle versus City, playing from the St James Stadium. It's going to also be one of those matches that might be one to stay away from. Newcastle already up in the Premier League, as Fulham, Sheffield and West Brom have all been relegated. So they probably just want to fight for a higher position up in the table. They've played some good football. They've got some decent results against some good teams of late. City having won the season already, they may play their subs, they might play their reserves, they might want to give some players some Premier League time. So for me, I'm not too sure. I've seen a lot of money has been coming in for Newcastle for the draw. Honestly, I don't think that's possible. Even though 2 seasons ago Newcastle got a 2-2 draw with City at St James Stadium, it's going to just be one of those games where literally anything can happen. Newcastle could run out winners. You absolutely never know. I'd advise staying away from this game. My prediction for this game would be 3-1 to City. No matter what, they've got quality in their squad. Whether they play their second team, first team, doesn't matter. They know how to score goals. They know how to play with the ball. They know how to keep possession of the ball. They know how to play with the ball at their feet and open up spaces and running behind defences. Newcastle, on the other hand, Callum Wilson's had a little bit of a dip in the season, but he's been scoring some goals coming towards the end of the season, so he might get himself on the score sheet. City might be a little bit laxy-daisy. They've won the league already. It's what we've seen with Liverpool last season. After they were crowned champions, there was a massive dip in form in their games. I'm not too sure City would do the same. They're a little bit more solid than Liverpool were back then. Even though Liverpool had a major season, I just think that City they would not want to concede or lose a game at all. They want a clean record. They just want to keep pushing, keep playing, scoring goals, playing their football. With Pep Guardiola at the helm there, that's just the mentality and the ethos of the team. So, like I said, probably a 3-1 result in my eyes. I know City will score goals. Newcastle might get on there. It could be a 2-0 to City or a 3-1. It's either going to be either or. I think if Newcastle do score, City will up the pressure and obviously score more goals. But they'll be happy to just take a 1 or 2-0 win away from home. And just keep pushing on to the next game and letting players get more time. So for me, it's going to be a 3-1 win to Manchester City. But like I said, I'd advise to stay away from this game. It's going to be a very difficult one. You can't even go for over 2.5. You're not too sure if there'll be goals. Could just be a 1 or 2-0 win away from home. As I said, Newcastle could win 1-0 at home, so I'm not too sure. I advise staying away. Right, now moving over to the bonus tip section of the video, we have 2 games here tonight that I feel are good value. The rest of tonight, I wasn't able to find anything that I could really put my stamp of approval on. In the first game, in the Czech Republic First League, is Slovan Liberec versus Brno. In this game, it seems that Slovan Liberec will take the 3 points at home against Brno. I feel very confident about that. There's been a lot of money coming in for them as well. In the second game tonight, we have in the Portuguese Primeira League, we have Braga versus Moreirense. Braga been conceding a lot lately and only managing to grind out draws, getting goals late in the games. Moreirense have been scoring freely, so for me in this game, it's going to have to be both teams to score. What I will do is put up an image with some everything in writing, so you guys can have a look at those. Should you guys do anything with these tips, please remember to do so responsibly and be the legal age to do so. Right, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with the bell for more daily notifications on when we do post videos and go live. Have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow.